As my right honourable friend, the Prime Minister's more elegant phrase has it, we're all in it together. We're in the same boat, so we better row in harmony. So I welcome the Liberal Democrats' commitment to working together with us for a full Parliament. Now, coalition requires compromise. Neither party can achieve all that it promised in its manifesto, and many of us are receiving letters from constituents upset that measures they voted for are not included in the coalition programme. But there's a simple reason for that. The Conservative Party did not win enough votes or seats to deliver all our manifesto pledges. The solution is not to blame coalition, but to win more support next time. Meanwhile, I believe this gracious speech represents not the lowest common denominator, but the highest common factor between our two parties. Nevertheless, the dismay which many people feel about not getting what they thought they were voting for is a salutary warning about the dangers of coalitions. Should they become the norm rather than the exception, they could give parties an easy excuse for abandoning manifesto pledges and a temptation to make pledges they had little intention of keeping. Nothing could do more to undermine the accountability of parties to the electorate. I support this coalition because a hung parliament makes it necessary, but I would not support changes to our voting system that would make hung parliaments the norm. So although I will loyally vote to hold a referendum on changing the voting system, I will campaign vigorously against the alternative vote. I welcome the fact that the gracious speech makes reducing the deficit the priority, starting with yesterday's £6 billion cuts. The reason for starting early is not because we are indifferent to the public sector workers' concerns about their jobs, but precisely because we want to minimise the impact on them. Tackling a deficit is like treating an illness. The longer you put it off, the more drastic the surgery you need. By starting now, more of the necessary savings can be made by freezing recruitment rather than by imposing redundancies, more by voluntary redundancies than compulsory redundancies, and the sooner private sector growth can offset slimming of the public sector. I particularly welcome the inclusion in the gracious speech of plans to introduce an annual limit on immigration. This was the issue raised most frequently on the doorstep. Concern about immigration itself was coupled with a dangerous feeling of resentment towards the political class who had overwritten public opposition while silencing debate. As Gillian Duffy discovered, anyone who raises the issue is liable to be dismissed as a bigot. Why is it that when Prime Ministers leave their microphones on, they reveal they think that anyone who raises contentious issues like immigration or Europe is either a bigot or a bastard? The lesson my right honourable friend should learn is not that he should take care to turn his microphone off, but that he should keep his receiver switched on to hear people's legitimate concerns, however unfashionable their views may be among the metropolitan intelligentsia. The gracious speech rightly makes Afghanistan our top foreign priority. When Tony Blair started paying tribute at question time to British soldiers killed in Afghanistan, he probably expected it to be a rare ritual. Instead, it's become a weekly litany of heroism and sacrifice, made all the more moving by its repetition. So much so that I, for one, can barely stop myself crying out, "Enough, no more, bring them home." I know we can't overnight abandon commitments to allies and the Afghans themselves, but I urge my right honourable friends to scale back our aims realistically and bring our young soldiers home with all due speed. One issue the coalition has apparently not yet been able to reach agreement upon is whether marriage should be encouraged. That's strange, since the coalition itself has been portrayed by the media as a marriage, albeit one which began as an arranged marriage but has blossomed into romance. Last night, the Prime Minister celebrated this happy union with a reception at number 10 for all his ministers and kindly invited my Honourable ally, the Seconder, and myself, since by tradition the gracious speech is read out for the benefit of ministers who don't take the Sunday Telegraph. When my wife came to extract me from the reception, the policeman refused her entry. Forgetting my diminished status, she pleaded that she was one of the minister's wives and should be let in. Madam, he replied, I couldn't let you in even if you were the minister's only wife. I hope this implies no resiling from support for marriage, particularly as today is my wedding anniversary. I commend the motion to the House.